Let's open by telling us a little bit about yourself and why digital equity is important to you.
Well, first, thank you for having me here. It's my first time in DC, so I feel like somebody.
Yeah. You picked an action-packed day to be
here. I did. It's crazy. Yeah, I'll be safe. Digital equity to me means it's a personal thing for me, right? The work that we do. So I grew up in San Diego, California, Escondido, California, the ghetto parts, really. My mom was undocumented. We were 8, at home, and childhood was rough. And inevitably, half of us ended up in foster care and the other half on the streets when she was deported. I received my first laptop from the San Diego Chargers at that time. And it was a Sony Vaio. But I always, when I do this work, I always think about the impact that it had on me, that device, right? A digital tool that allowed me to discover resources and things that I didn't know of before. So for me, this is, it's kind of, I get to relive those experiences every day, but that's where I come from. And that's what really influences and helps me lead in this work.
And now you're the executive director of Free Geek. How did the organization get started?
Yeah, so I'm the executive director at Free Geek, and Free Geek has been around for 23 years. And it started, with a bunch of folks in the hacker, nerd, and open source community that had an abundance of technology in the garage. And they're like, let's refurbish it and give it to folks. Their main goal was they wanted to play with open source and technology, and they wanted to divert technology from landfill. So on Earth Day of 2020, the organization opened up with that at its core. Since then, we've reimagined our values and behaviors and our mission to a North Star of digital equity and digital adoption.
Very cool. And what does digital equity and adoption look like in your community? What gaps exist? How are you all filling those gaps?
Yeah, in Oregon right now, we have 160,000 households that have never owned a device or have access to a device. And then 4% of the population right now are also working just using a phone. So that's about 300, a little bit over 300,000 folks who don't have, access to a computer at home. With that said, every single household that we visited, and we serve about four counties across our area, we have 44,000 individuals who still don't have a computer. And every one of those individuals also don't have adequate access to internet or access at all. And so what we've done is we've partnered with community-based organizations, ISPs like Comcast, government entities, and really build coalition to address these needs through partnerships, right? Bringing community along the journey, going block by block, understanding that there's not one blanket approach to solving the digital divide, but that digital navigators essentially change depending on what the community needs from them. And so for us, we get to serve these 4 counties, we get to serve folks across the state. And so I was just sharing with someone here, one of you, about how we've been able to reach folks even in rural areas, right? Throwing a hotspot, a computer, and some information in a box, sending it over to a rural area. They'll connect with us, they'll log into TeamViewer, and then they have unlimited access to us, right? Being really creative around how do we solve these issues. And so right now, that's what the digital divide really looks like and the challenges that we're facing, but also solutions and ways that we're fixing them.
Let's go off script here a little bit, But when people talk about digital navigators, a qualifier is usually trusted, like community trusted, community entrenched. How does you and your staff's kind of knowledge of the community, how does that play a role? How does that make you especially qualified to do this work?
Yeah, Free Geek has been doing this work before it was popular or under the microscope. We are here now and we'll be here after. And what makes us so trusted in community is that we are from community, right? And we know that my director of operations, they grew up in community, and so when they go to a neighborhood, they're like, we got free internet for you. The household is not like, oh wait, who are you? What do you mean? What's the fine print? I might not have to pay for this later. It's like, no, tell me more, because they were just there like 2 years ago.
Gotcha. No. So the work that you're doing is super important. And So academia, right? One of the models that folks in academia like to use to take a look at why technology is accepted is a technology acceptance model, right? Professor Fred Davis, based out of the University of Michigan, came up with a theory that took a look at why populations adopt technology. And he found that there were two leading factors, two leading variables. One is perceived ease of use, and one is perceived usefulness. And I think that your organization is especially situated in that it really works on both at the same time, right? Perceived usefulness, AKA showing the value of being plugged in, the value of a home broadband connection, and perceived ease of use, teaching people how to use these machines that you're refurbishing and that you're distributing to kind of take down the intimidation factor a little bit from a computer, right? And again, I know folks in academia like to put these sorts of things together as a way to explain things that happen in the real world, but you are in the real world.
Right.
So how do you kind of do those two simultaneously? They're both very large challenges, and again, your group is doing both. So if you want to speak about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think in conversations that you and I had, it doesn't take a college degree to realize this thing, right? We knew that before it was published. Especially, when you've been impacted directly by digital inequality, what that looks like, right? When we go into community, and we talk about, we offer these services, people don't care. They don't care how it gets done. They are driven by what is the incentive now? What is going to get me to get food on the table or roof over my head? And so oftentimes when they look at technology or the tools that we sometimes take for granted or that we sometimes just look at them, they're so simple to use, right? So then that's not the case. And so they're like, also, how long is it going to take me for me to learn the skill? How long is it going to take me for me to get the internet? How long is it going to take me for me to go to the class before it produces an incentive? And so the sense of urgency there for communities like, we're not going to go to someone that we don't know that doesn't understand our experiences because they don't know how fast we need the things. And so this we see what this professor, what these discoveries really tell us is like we've known this stuff, right? And so that's really for me what that tells me, and able to and the education that comes with this discovery is that we are able to use that knowledge and create adaptable curriculum, adaptable education, adaptable resources, so that when we go one block at a time, one individual at a time, we can adjust them based on that.
So let's end with this. I would love for you to share something you're proud of or something that you've been working on and the impact it's made. Story from the field. We would love to hear something you've done that's meaningful to you.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm most proud of is having a platform where I can employ 50 staff. When we changed, we're bridging the digital divide, but really what we're doing is creating opportunities. Whether we create them opportunities through the device or through the internet, I know that I'm going to hire folks from community, folks that grew up like me, folks who maybe dropped out of college because they had to take care of mom or their own kids. I don't care that you have a college degree or experience. If you have a passion for this work and you're coachable and I can train you, then you can do it. 100% of my leadership team, I think maybe 7 of us out of 9 have college degrees or any experience. We remove drug testing, background checks. And the reason for that is because I know that I needed community I needed the talent that exists in the community that typically is disregarded, right? And so because that is how we were able to gain relational trust, right? How we were able to understand what gaps truly exist in community, and how we were able to understand that if we close those gaps and we do it fast, and the only way we could do this is faster through community, is I needed those folks in my building. And so our biggest accomplishment is being able to create a platform, an organization that bridges the digital divide outside and inside of the organization.
Amazing work, Juan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, y'all.